Spencer Thomason, and here at StartupHakk, we love to train software developers and build custom software solutions. So I do a lot of work as a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology, teams, and products. So today we're going to dive into a topic that's definitely causing a stir. Google's former CEO and chairman, Eric Schmidt, recently said some pretty controversial things about developers. Now, before we dive into the details, let's just say that Schmidt's words have sparked a lot of debate, and for good reason. His comments touched on work-life balance and the culture of startups, and even took a jab at how Google and other companies operate today. So let's break this down today and talk about what all this means for the tech world. All right, so what exactly did Eric Schmidt say that's got everyone talking? So during an intimate discussion at Stanford, and I'm not totally sure whether he knew that he was being recorded or not, but Schmidt states Google decided, quote, Google decided that work-life balance and going home early and working from home was more important than winning. And the reason the startups work is because people work like heck. Now, that's a pretty blunt assessment. He essentially criticized the modern approach to work-life balance, suggesting that it's holding companies back from achieving greatness. It's a stark contrast to the current trend of promoting flexibility and remote work. Now, Schmidt didn't stop there. He went on to say, if you all leave the university and go found a company, you're not going to let people work from home and only come in one day a week. So according to Schmidt, the success of early Google and other startups was built on intense, almost relentless work. This statement feeds into the stereotype of the hustle culture that's often associated with startup life. But is this really the only way to succeed? Now, Schmidt seems to think so, and that sparked a lot of debate among the developers and tech leaders alike. Now, I know that about 30 to 40% of startups right now are pure remote. So I know that can't be totally true or completely accurate. In fact, a lot of good things can come from a fully remote work environment. And I'm not just talking about work-life balance. The ability to unlock potential and candidates doesn't limit you by only what you can get in a geographic boundary. Now, Schmidt's comments raise an important question. What kind of culture are we promoting in tech? If the only path to success is working like crazy, where does that leave developers who value a work-life balance? This mentality might have worked in the early days of Silicon Valley, but the industry has evolved. So I kind of think Schmidt's an old-timer here, to be honest. And I'm not all that much different in age from him, so I can call him an old-timer here. But today, many developers prioritize flexibility, mental health, and a sustainable work environment. So if you want to be able to retain top talent, telling them that they're going to have to work 80 and 100-hour weeks probably isn't a great way to do that. So Schmidt's remarks challenge this shift, and it's worth asking if the old way is really the best way. Now, definitely here at StartupHakk, one of the things we definitely believe in is training developers, because we believe that you need to stay sharp on your skills. So we offer tons of free code samples, so make sure you go back and check out our previous videos, because we have hundreds of free code samples. So let's flip the script for just a minute. While Schmidt argues that intense work is necessary to win, there's a growing body of evidence that suggests work-life balance can actually be a competitive advantage. Companies that offer flexibility and support their engineers' well-being often see higher productivity and lower turnover. And turnover can really kill a company and a project. So in a world where talent is in high demand, offering a better quality of life could be what sets a company apart. So what Schmidt's pointing out about winning might be valid, but it's really the question of whether it's a long-term and if it's a short-term gain for a long-term loss. Now, the other part about this is I know personally that I tell my developers that, one, if they're having to code more than 40 hours a week, then that's a failure of management, because it means we didn't either provide the right estimates or we didn't provide enough workforce to be able to get to a project completion. The other part is I know that as I've gone back and looked at code, sometimes I'll look at things that I coded at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and think, this is 2 a.m. code. And there is definitely a difference between 2 a.m. code and 10 a.m. code. So today's developers are entering the workforce with a different expectation than those of the early days of Google. Many value remote work, flexible hours, and the ability to balance their personal and professional lives. Schmidt's comments might resonate with a certain segment of the tech community, but for many, they feel out of touch. The industry is changing, and so are the people in it. Developers today are looking for more than just a paycheck. They're looking for a career that aligns with their values and work life. And Google did burn out some of their early people, right? So let's not sugarcoat it. Startup life can be intense. Schmidt's comments about working like crazy aren't entirely off the mark. Startups often require long hours and a level of commitment that can be a bit exhausting. But does that mean that this is the only way to success? Not necessarily. While some startups thrive on this model, others are finding ways to achieve success without burning out their teams. It's all about finding the right balance between hard work and sustainability. And I think it's about being smart as well as working hard. And that's why here at StartupHakk, we love to train software developers to make sure that they have the latest skills so they're not wasting time building on older technologies that's going to need to be rebuilt. Now, Schmidt's critique of remote work is another hot topic. So he implies that remote work isn't conducive to building a successful startup, arguing that face-to-face collaboration is essential. And I think that also is something that's a foregone thing from 20 years ago. In this post-pandemic world, remote work has become a norm for most companies. It's proven that teams can be productive and innovative even when they're not in the same physical space. Schmidt's comments may reflect an older mindset, but the reality is that remote work is here to stay and companies need to embrace it, and then if they embrace it, they can have the upper hand. I know when I was actually working, one of the few jobs we had worked majority of the time in the office. So I was working 4 days a week in the office when COVID hit. So overnight, within a week, we shifted to full remote work. And at that time, we were actually running a very strict Scrum team, and our velocity went up almost 40% when we moved to home. So I know that for me and my team, I actually did not see it as good of work in the office as I did in remote. So after the video of Schmidt's discussion was posted online, it was quickly removed and Schmidt issued an apology. Now, I had to even go find, and I'm going to share my screen here, in order to even go find the text for this, I actually had to pull up, somebody actually put it out on GitHub, right? This EconClat talk, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but they had to actually take this and throw it up onto a GitHub link because Google kept trying to take it down. So a little scary about the censorship there too. We won't get into that topic too much, but definitely, you know, a former CEO of Google could kind of get this video to disappear. And so it's kind of interesting that he was able to get that to disappear a little bit. Now, he issued an apology. And this shows that even tech giants like Schmidt aren't immune to the backlash when their views clash with the current industry trends. So it's a little bit like an old grandpa saying, my day we had to walk to school bare naked uphill both ways, right? Like, I mean, to me, it sounds a little bit like that. So it's a reminder that the tech community is vocal and values progress, both in terms of technology and workspace culture. Schmidt's apology indicates that he may have overstated the impact of his words on today's developers. Now, interestingly, Schmidt also touched on the future of AI and its impact on the workforce. He predicted that AI will dramatically change how we work, potentially replacing many jobs, but also creating new opportunities. And I agree with him on this. This prediction adds another layer to the conversation about work-life balance and the nature of work itself. As AI continues to evolve, it could further shift the dynamics of how companies operate and what is expected of its developers. Schmidt's view on AI may be more forward-looking, but they're also a bit unsettling for those concerned about job security. Now, as I've said before, I've told my developers many times that you don't worry about AI taking your job, but worry about a developer who knows how to use AI taking your job. And that's part of the reason why here at StartupHakk we train software developers, because I want to make sure you're armed with the latest technology. So go check out our previous videos. We have tons about how to code with AI, as well as a ton of other topics. So go check those out because I have tons of free code samples here on the channel. So and so while Schmidt's forward thinking, I kind of agree with him on this. I think there's actually a lot of change we're going to see. And I think we're going to see a lot of this change to how we work more than replacing jobs. And in my prediction, if we think about it, there's going to be a ton of other jobs get replaced before we see software developer jobs get replaced. So as a developer, I'm not super worried about us getting replaced because so far the coding benchmarks are really low. So for AI. So where do we go from here? Schmidt's comments have sparked a conversation about what it means to be a developer in today's world. And as always, I love having a great conversation. So please leave a comment down below. If you're listening to me, leave a comment below what you think. Do you think Schmidt was right? Do you think he was wrong? Is he an old timer? Or do we need more of that hardcore coming back into software development? The old model of relentless work might still have its place, but it's clear the industry is moving towards a balanced approach. What do you think? Developers want to do great work, but they also want to live great lives. So the future of developer culture will likely involve finding that sweet spot between hard work and well-being. So his remarks, controversial as they are, offer some valuable lessons. They remind us that the tech industry is constantly evolving, and what worked in the past may not work today. It's also important for leaders and developers alike to adapt to these changes and find a new way to succeed, whether it's embracing remote work, prioritizing work-life balance, or leveraging AI. The key is to stay flexible and open to new ideas. Schmidt's comments might not sit well with everyone, but there's a catalyst for an important conversation about the future of work. And I always believe that even when somebody says something controversial like this, it's great to have a conversation, because I believe that out of these conversations, we can come up with great ideas. So hit me up in the comments, hit me up online. I love having a great conversation. So to wrap it all up, Schmidt's comments challenge us to think critically about the status quo. Should we return to the days of intense, unrelenting, 80-hour-a-week work, or is there a better way forward? As someone with 25 years of experience in the industry, I've seen the benefits of both approaches, but I believe the future lies in a balance, in creating an environment where developers can thrive both professionally and personally. It's part of the reason I love working in tech, and it's also part of the reason I don't think tech jobs are going to go away. It's time to rethink what it means to be successful in tech and to create a culture that supports everybody's growth. So, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? In summary, Eric Schmidt's recent comments about developers have sparked a lot of debate, but let's jump in and let's talk about this and have a great discussion. Here at StartupHakk, we love to train software developers in our coding boot camps, and we are now licensed to be able to offer and train, and we're finding up with some creative ways that we can offer these coding boot camps with a lot of subsidies and scholarships. So make sure you hit us up. We also love to build custom software solutions for companies. So we use these internships and these amazing job opportunities to help to build awesome software for great companies. So reach out and we'd love to help. Hit the link down below or check out startuphakk.com today. Also, make sure you go back to our previous videos, because we have hundreds of coding samples where anybody can learn to code, or if you're a developer, to sharpen up on some of your skills. And otherwise, we will catch you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, because we bring you lots of great tutorials and tips that every developer should know. See you next time.